What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with Cheesehead TV, coming to you live with your Packers Daily Chat. We're a few hours early, as we always are on Fridays, because Madden Preview is coming up next. So stick around. If you don't get your question answered, you can chat with Corey while I play Madden and make fun of me, because that's what we do around here on Fridays prior to a game. It's good to see everybody in the chat already joining. It's pretty amazing that so many people always show up. And I'd just like to address something real quickly here before we get going in earnest. One, Aaron Spina, I'm not quite sure how you're pronouncing that last name, but says, what's the over-under on minutes late going live? And Aaron, let me just address that for a second, because Corey Banky's not involved in this production. See, this is me, my producer, Minichi, and we go live, when we're supposed to go live. When Corey Banky's involved, that's when things go off the rails. So just keep that in mind. If Banky's involved, we could go live at any time. We could go live when we're supposed to. We could go live a few minutes late. We could go live a few hours late. But, other than that, we run a pretty tight ship around here. So just keep that in mind going forward. Patrick starts us off with the football questions of, do you think we bring Kendricks in as an H-back to help with inside pressure? Guards are going to have their hands full. I 100% expect to see, if not Kendricks, then tight ends in general being brought into the backfield. All hands on deck, as it were, to handle Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. There's little doubt that Rodgers will have to get the ball out of his hands quickly. I expect the quick passing game to be a feature. We've talked about it all week here. No matter what you do personnel-wise, you're not going to be able to stop Aaron Donald. He is going to get his. He is going to wreak havoc. But yes, I do think we will see some of that type of action throughout the game. The problem is, of course, you can't do that on every play. Certainly not in obvious passing situations where you limit your availability for Rodgers out in the route trees. So I think you'll see a lot of wrinkles, not just personnel-wise, but play calling and game plan-wise, to try and combat what is undoubtedly the most talented interior they're going to face all year. Matt, happy Friday. How are you? Veteran QB and veteran coach will hopefully school the young Rams. Daniel, that's awfully optimistic of you. What trade GM Nagler would do before the deadline? I probably wouldn't have. I wouldn't. I mean, the only one I was all in on as far as it making sense from the Packers standpoint was the Khalil Mack trade that they obviously did try. But outside of that, I don't see a player that you're going to go get that's worth what you're going to have to give up to get him, that's going to make a monster difference for this year's team. We discussed it earlier this week. I thought the Snacks trade would have been a good idea. Damon Harrison, who went to the Lions from the Giants. But few and far between are the players that you're going to give up whatever capital you're going to have to give up, whether it's a premium draft pick or just a draft pick in general, and then turn around and have to deal with the contract situation. I know names like Chandler Jones and guys like that get thrown out there, but you look at their contracts and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense from the Packers' standpoint to go down that road. I know that they're undoubtedly making calls and there are moves that they could possibly make, but the way Gutekunst has operated up until this point would suggest that they are most likely going to sit still. Greetings from Fairpoint, New York. What's up? Banky needs a Scott jersey. Yikes. Nags, what's up? So excited for this game on Sunday. I am too. I think it's going to be a great game. I mean, I know it's always that way when you're coming off a bye week where you just can't wait to get them back on the field. But this one, there's obviously a little heightened interest, nerves, anxiety, whatever you call it, attitude, excitement, whatever, just because they, A, haven't played, and B, this is the cream of the crop. It's undoubtedly the best team in the NFL. And it's going to be exciting to watch the Packers match up. Rodgers needs to play scared and get the ball out fast. Well, Chad, I don't know if he needs to play scared, but he definitely needs to play smart. Let's see. Do you think Montravius Adams should get more snaps to show what he can do? Well, that's the thing. We talked about it on Transplants on Wednesday night. I do tend to think that they're going to need that big body to give the rotation a break, if nothing else. I mean, you got Kenny Clark playing 95% of the snaps. You've got Lancaster in there off the practice squad getting snaps. I think Adams should be given a look at least, but for whatever reason, he has not earned their trust and or done much in practice to give them reason to throw him in that rotation. Would I do it? Yes, but I'm not privy to practice, and they are. And for whatever reason, they have deemed him unworthy of playing time. Why do the Packers seem to start slow every single year? It's a bit because of McCarthy, obviously. They don't do a whole heck of a lot in the preseason offensively. We all know that. They're a lot like, and Packer fans don't want to hear this, but they are a lot like the Patriots in the way that they treat the first part of the season as kind of a lab to find out what works and what doesn't. The difference is the Patriots do a much better job of becoming a cohesive unit quicker than the Packers do. But they are very similar in the sense that that first part of the season, and Rodgers mentioned it all throughout camp, it's very much a kind of work in progress, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, how this team gels, where their strengths and weaknesses are. So yeah, I think more often than not, you've seen that during McCarthy's tenure. When our offense gets stagnant, why don't we run hurry-up offense? Jeremiah, that's an excellent question. I expect you'll see a little bit more of it on Sunday. They seem to only get to it this season when they fall way too far behind. It would be nice to see it a little earlier, no doubt about it. I'm going to go over to our social media wall, so to speak. I'm going to talk to fine folks on Twitter, see what's on people's minds, people who couldn't be here live asking questions. We start with Matt, who asks, how promising has Oren Burks looked? I know he has made some mistakes, but overall, are you optimistic? I am actually. He's been taken advantage of a little bit in the run game, and there's moments where you can see his head's swimming a little bit in some of these passing concepts. But overall, I think, yes, early returns are good, and I think he has played well enough to make you think, yeah, they actually have a player there. Now, obviously, it's still very early. Guys regress or progress all the time in the league, week to week, month to month. But early returns are good on Burks, no doubt about it. Sandro, flying to Boston from Germany next week. You driving up there for the game? They want to have a beer with me. I would love to have a beer with you, but I will be here watching the game in studio. Thank you for the offer, though. What's the rundown today? All-time shown or Lambeau? Packers Daily at 3, Madden game at 4. Probably about 4:30 for Madden because we have to switch the studio over. But yes, Madden preview directly after this here chat. Tyler asks, what is the timetable for McCarthy to realize Kentrell Brice is terrible? Also, is moving Tremont to free safety now that Breeland is playing a possible outcome if McCarthy does soon realize that Brice is not a winnable option? Well, Tyler, there's a lot of assuming going on in that question, but I would be very surprised if they moved Tremont to safety. I know Packer fans seem to be obsessed with the idea, but and I also don't think that Breeland playing is a foregone conclusion. All signs point to that direction, obviously, but he was still only a limited participant throughout practice this week, so we'll have to see what the game time decision is in regards to him being up or down. Even if he does play, though, I don't think they're going to turn around and move Tremont to safety. Now, I could be completely wrong on that, but that is my read of things as we sit here on Friday afternoon. Zach says, if MVS and EQ keep up their high performances throughout the season, do you see us letting Cobb walk in free agency, or would the chemistry between him and Rodgers want us to bring him back? Zach, I think that'll be a tricky situation because of that second part that you mentioned, but I do think that if MVS and EQ progress as we've seen so far throughout the first part of the season, it's going to be hard-pressed for the Packers to justify bringing Cobb back. They've got a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, and while Cobb undoubtedly could continue on a successful run with Rodgers, I do think, unless he agreed to a major hometown discount, I would expect him to be elsewhere next season, if those guys continue to progress as they have. Mark says, just read Andrew Herman's piece and video clips of HaHa's performance. Yes, if you haven't, make sure you check out Andy's film study from the bye week of both HaHa, Clinton Dix, and Blake Martinez. It's good stuff. I can't believe the lack of energy. Why are the coaches allowing this junk? Well, Mark, now let me caution you on something here. I know you look at those clips and you say, oh, look at him, as you put it, his energy, his lack of energy. Now, I would caution you to go and watch the all-22 of all the other starting safeties in the league. And you're going to see a lot of what you saw on that tape. Not to that degree, probably, but you will. Guys not involved in a play or knowing that they've got contain or a million other variances are going to not be as high energy. Now, are there lots of other guys that you could look at on tape and say, Well, yeah, he's full of energy. That guy's raring to go. He's running after every ball. Yes, 1,000%, no question. But I'm always kind of hesitant to ascribe what I see on tape with anything other than what I see on tape. As far as motivation, energy, what have you, those are all things that are very kind of, I don't know, hard to prescribe as I know exactly what's in a man's heart. I know exactly what he's thinking and feeling. It's hard for me to leap there. I understand the tape shows what it shows, and it certainly is problematic in certain areas, but kind of whitewashing it with, well, he's lacks energy and he's no focus and he's not involved, etc. I kind of shy away from that myself. That's just me. How do you suspect the Packers will help Bryce over the top with Cooks? You mentioned the Rams will most likely exploit Bryce, and I want to know if there's a way they can help Bryce. Well, yes and no. I mean, they can't really help Bryce over the top because he's supposed to be the help over the top. The way that teams have so far targeted him, it's been the two big plays, the 75-yarder against the Vikings, and then the opening drive against the Redskins, and then the third play would have been the play against the 49ers where they got Goodwin up on him. Two out of those three are with real speedsters, and they knew that they would get those guys matched up on his side of the formation, and they went to work. Now, on the one against the Vikings, he's a lone safety there, and he follows the wrong guy. He's got to stay deep. And the kind of commonality with all of these plays is his lack of identification pre-snap of saying, where's the one guy who can beat me? Where's the speed demon? And if nothing else, this bye week, this week of preparation for this game, Packers coaches have got to have drilled into him. You got to know where Cooks is on every play, because there is no doubt McVay is dreaming up ways of attacking him. But as far as schematically, you can never keep him 100% out of harm's way because you've got to play your defense. And you can't just be predictable in your coverages and your personnel usage. Otherwise, you get taken advantage of in other ways. So there will come a time when he will be tested and he will need to rise to the challenge. That is the simple truth of the matter. All right. Thank you to everyone who sends your questions in on Twitter. You guys are incredible. You flood the hashtag every day. It's very nice of you to participate, even though you can't be here live. But I'm going to continue talking to the people who are here live. Starting with Daniel, who says, now that Breeland's coming in, can we finally cut Tony Brown? I talked about this yesterday. Don't be so quick to want to cut guys, especially a guy who's clearly got a lot of talent. Now, maybe they do end up cutting him, but I would just say, two big mistakes, yes, but he's also shown a lot of talent and a lot of ability. And he's young, first year in the league. I don't think you should be so quick to dismiss a guy just because he's had a few bonehead plays. Now, yes, is he on a really short leash at this point? Zero doubt. But no, I think he could still help them if injuries strike down the road. Oh, there's a fight in the chat. I like it. Somebody upset with somebody's negativity. You have to coach through issues. It works. The best teams get their players to play better. Matt, I agree. I think that was one of the biggest kind of red flags / condemnations of Mike's team last year. McCarthy and company did a very poor job of bringing guys along, regardless of who was at quarterback. You saw a lot of stagnation personnel-wise last year. Other than maybe you saw Jamal Williams really improve throughout the season, and you saw Kenny Clark, I thought, really improve throughout the year in 2017. Outside of those guys, you saw a lot of guys who ended the year pretty much in the same spot they were at the beginning of the year. And the best staffs, as you just alluded to, they bring guys along and they coach through these issues and they teach them it so they're not making the same mistakes in December that they were making in August and September. So I'm very, very much in agreement with you right there. Let's get Patrick Peterson and move Williams to safety, and also need to worry about it for you. The Edra, John, it's not Madden, buddy. Step away. Step away from the Madden game. If they try anyone at safety, it should be Breeland, not Tremont. Yes and no. I mean, they're both not exactly the speedsters that neither of them really ever were, but I could see that as a possibility. But again, I would tend to doubt it. Rams shouldn't have a huge home field advantage on Sunday. Alan, you're probably right. I think Packers fans will show up. California's full of them. Spina. Sorry, Aaron. Thanks for joining us. Bryce is one of the better tacklers on the team. Very true. You know, he's actually gotten a lot better this year. Last year, prior to his injury, he was really hit and miss, very kind of a lot of ducking of the head, 50-50 stuff, but he's really solidified himself in that regard. He has to solve this deep ball problem that's jumped up on him. Don't pour gas on the fire, Nags. Hey, man, I answer as many questions as I can. Does Allison running remind you of a newborn giraffe? That's all I think of. It wasn't, but I'm sure now that's all I'll be able to think of. Is 12 still dialed into Mike McCarthy's message? Does it sway with the wind? Only Aaron Rodgers can answer that. Oh no. Going Packers-Lions season finale coming from South Carolina. Any motel advice? Yeah, book it like 3 months ago. Bryce will clean this up. It's possible. Instead of just having one of our 3 running backs on the field, why not have multiple back sets? Thoughts? You could work. I think that's a bit, maybe coming out of the bye week, they draw some things up. But if they weren't working on it in the offseason, if they weren't working on it in the spring and summer, I doubt it's magically going to materialize now. That doesn't mean that, like I said, off the bye week, maybe they did some tinkering and some imagining, but I would be surprised if they went that route. Is Josh Jackson showing good things on film? Yes. You see, he's a rookie. He's going to make some mistakes, but overall, his physicality, his ball skills, his tackling ability. I know every once in a while you see a play, like specifically there was the big play he gave up in Detroit. He mistimes his jump there, but he's in good position. Those are the things that you're encouraged by. Yes, that's something that can be improved upon. But for the most part, yeah, the early returns are very good on Jackson. Giraffe Allison. Why can't we put Montgomery and Jones in the backfield and motion one out? They could. But, then you're taking away other options elsewhere. That's a good problem to have, no doubt. Where's the weak point in the Rams defense? Walt, it's the linebacking core, hands down. Their secondary is pretty talented. Obviously, everybody knows how good they are up front. It's the linebackers that are the real issue. And it's interesting as far as game planning goes. If you're the Packers, I would think, as I've been saying all week, you want to go with the quick passing game, and that would lead one to believe that you're going to go and maybe spread it out with 3 or 4 wide receivers, but that's going to take linebackers off the field. If I'm McCarthy, I'm probably coming out in multiple tight end sets and then spreading things out and maybe hopefully catching them in base where they have those linebackers on the field so you can maybe get a mismatch, take advantage of them with Graham, Kendricks, and God forbid, Mercedes Lewis. Tempo on offense seemed to work well against Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco. Any chance we try to dial it up earlier? Dan, been preaching it all week. We'll see if McCarthy's been listening. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to jump. Thank you so much for all the questions. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. They do fly by, and I got Twitter to talk to, and I got tons of people chiding me for being late when I'm not late. I'm kidding, Aaron. Anyway, thanks a lot, everyone. If you're watching on YouTube, I hope you're subscribed. If you haven't yet, please do so. Tons of great stuff for you, all about the Packers all the time. If you're on Facebook, share it. Tell your friends. Let the world know. Cheesehead TV is where you go to talk some Packers every single day. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Visit the website, cheeseheadtv.com. We will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everyone. Stick around for Madden. I'll talk to you soon.